This is the newest version, so there are going to be some things that are not the same as what they are on your computer, but the basic elements are similar. So here, if you're on one of the newer versions, you can quickly create a file based on these sizes. But what we're going to do is you're going to either go to File, New, or Create New. Either one works. You're going to get this screen or something like this screen. You want to make sure that you're changing the width to inches. So I'm going to do 8.5 by 11.5 or 8 by 11. Choose the CMYK or RGB color mode depending on what you want to use it for. If you are purely using this for web design, use RGB. If you're printing this out, you should always use CMYK. The reason why is screens don't have as much colors in them as printing. Printing, we can add more color choices in. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that my pixels per inch is 300. Illustrator is a vector-based app, which means that it is created more on mathematical equations. It's usually used for graphic design. So images can be easily enlarged and still retain the nice shape that they have here. And then if you look over here at this side, this is a more image-based or pixel-based image, and you can see how when you try to enlarge it, it gets all pixelated. You do not want that for graphic. That's why we're using Illustrator, and that's why you need to check the pixels per inch just to make sure the resolution is high enough. I also have a sheet for you guys full of basic tools that you can use in Illustrator. So this is a quick cheat sheet. I'm going to show you in the program as well. So here I have my file. So I'm going to hit create or OK, depending on what program version you're in. Now here is my workspace. I have all my toolbars, or not toolbars, but all my settings over here and my tools, and then your toolbars where you have your options, to play with the program are over here. If there's something you want that is not showing up over here, you can go to Windows, and there's all of these toolbars that you can click and they will show up. I usually drag mine over here so that it's all nice and organized. So I always like the navigator up. Let's put the color up as well. I want to make sure I have layers up. That's extremely important. Okay, so now my space is set up. You can create layers by going down here and pushing the plus button. This creates a brand new layer. When you are working in Illustrator, anything that you are doing, if you're starting some new task, make sure you create it on a new layer. So if you make a mistake, you can easily delete that layer or fix it. Let's start with the pen tool. So the pen tool you use points to make shapes. I have this point here, so I'm going to connect it. Here's my triangle that I made. Let's say I want it colored. So I'm going to click on my select tool, come down here to the color, and I can choose whatever color I want to fill it in. Now, the outside, or the stroke, is in black. I can change that as well, or I can get rid of that completely by hitting this little slash. So now it's just a shape here. If you want to create a shape with a curve, this one's a little more difficult, but once you get used to it, it will be easy to navigate. So I have my point. I'm going to click my second point, and I'm not going to release the mouse. I'm going to hold down and curve into the direction that I want to curve. Now this shape didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so what I can do is I can go up to the pen tool, click on it, click on the anchor tool, and then I can go back in and adjust so that this shape is now the shape that I want it to be. If I wanted to adjust over here, I could do the same thing so that I get these anchors so that I can adjust the shape into the direction that I want it to go. Once again, if I want to change the color, I can come over here and change it to whatever I want. Pen tool is very handy on creating precise tools. You have the paintbrush where you can paint and draw lines. Now, if you want to fill in that shape, you're going to have to make sure it's closed. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to fill that shape in. So there you go. I don't think that looks as nice just because I didn't take my time as much. I love how precise and exact the pen tool is. So to change the color, click on it with the select, and then you can change the color over here. Once again, if I didn't want the outline there, click on this second box and then exit out. And there you go. Now, depending on how precise you drew it, you might have a little line like that. There is, in the newer versions, the erase button, so I could erase some of this design and it will smooth out those lines. There is the type tool, so I can type whatever I want here. Select it. I use Control A, and I can come over here and change the size, the font, to whatever I want. There's so many examples. I can change the kerning. I can change the leading. And I can also change the tracking. So remember, that is the spacing in between the letters, the spacing in between the words, and the individual spacing in between letters that you can adjust all right here. If I'd want to do my whole background one solid color, what I can do is create a new layer, because this is going to be my background. I'm going to drag it down below layer 2 because I don't want that being in front of my layer. I still want to see these shapes on the front. And I'm going to draw my square or rectangle, whatever it is, filling in however much space I want it to. You could always play with the gradient tool. You can make it a solid color. It's up to you. But those are some quick and easy tips of how to draw in Illustrator. It is always nice to take an image that you already have and trace to create the shape that you want. If you want to delete something, you can use the select tool, click right on it and hit delete. You can also hit Control Z to undo. And let's say I don't want my background layer on anymore. I can turn it off by clicking on the eyeball, or I can delete the whole layer by clicking on it and hitting the delete button right here. Have fun!